All right, welcome. Today we're going to jump in a bit of a time machine. We're going to explore a completely different and maybe a much richer way of thinking about what it means to know something. We're digging into the mind of a philosophical giant to rediscover a kind of science that, for the most part, we've forgotten.
So let's just kick things off with a big question, one that probably sounds a little weird to us today. Is theology a science? Now, I bet your first reaction is something like, no way. But what if I told you that for one of the most brilliant minds in history, it wasn't just a science, it was the absolute queen of the sciences? Well, it all comes down to what you actually mean by the word science.
You see, to even start to answer that, we have to get our heads around the fact that our modern idea of science, labs, experiments, data, isn't the only one there's ever been. We've got to understand the word the way it was used by the incredible 13th century thinker Thomas Aquinas.
For Aquinas, the word wasn't science, it was scientia. And this Latin term meant so much more than just chemistry or physics. It was any solid body of knowledge that was certain and could be demonstrated. And here's the key part. It was all based on understanding the fundamental causes of why things are the way they are. It wasn't just about the what, it was all about the why.
And Aquinas, who was really building on the ideas of Aristotle, just lays it out perfectly for us right here. To have scientia, real scientific knowledge of something, you have to grasp its first cause. True knowledge gets right to the root of why a thing even exists. I mean, think about that. That is a huge, ambitious idea of what it means to know something.
So, if scientia is all about causes, that begs the question, right? What exactly did Aquinas mean by a cause? It wasn't just one simple thing. Nope. For him, to truly understand something, you had to ask why in 4 completely different but equally important ways. Okay, let's dive into this.
Probably the easiest way to wrap our minds around this is with a really simple down-to-earth example. Let's say we're just looking at a house and we ask the question, why is this house here? It sounds like a simple question, but Aquinas would tell you there are actually 4 totally correct and totally necessary answers.
First up, you've got the material cause. This is basically the what's it made of question. The house exists because, well, someone brought together a bunch of wood, bricks, and stone. It's the physical stuff, the raw material that makes it possible. Next up is the formal cause. Think about it. A random pile of bricks isn't a house, right? What makes it a house is the blueprint, the architect's design. This is the idea, the structure that gives all that raw material its specific identity. It's what makes it a house and not just a pile of junk.
Okay, number 3 is the efficient cause. Now, this is the one that's going to sound really familiar to all of us. It's the agent of change, the one who actually did the work. For our house, this is the construction crew with their hammers and saws. They're the force that actually put the blueprint into action with the materials.
And finally, and for Aquinas, this was the big one, the final cause. This is the ultimate purpose, the why behind the whole thing. The house was built in order to provide shelter. See, for Aquinas, the builders didn't just randomly start banging nails. They built it for the sake of that purpose. That goal is what kicked the entire process into motion.
So, once you have this awesome 4-cause toolkit, you can start to see how Aquinas organized, well, everything. All human knowledge, all scientia, suddenly fits into this really elegant hierarchy based on what kinds of things and what kinds of causes each science looks at. And what's so cool here is that it's like a ladder, right? Each step gets more and more abstract. Down at the bottom, you have natural philosophy, what we kind of call physics today, studying physical things that move and change. Climb a rung, and you get to mathematics, where you stop caring about a specific round ball and start studying the concept of roundness itself, the form. Go up again, and you hit metaphysics, asking these huge questions like, what does it even mean to be? And then, right at the very top, theology.
So why is theology sitting at the top of the pyramid? Because it deals with the ultimate, highest cause of absolutely everything, God. While physics tries to figure out the causes of motion and metaphysics the causes of existence, theology, in this system, starts with principles revealed by that first cause. And in Aquinas' world, that makes it the most certain, most fundamental science of all, the queen.
Okay, so this brings us to the big showdown. How does this massive, unified vision of knowledge stack up against what we call science today?
And wow, when you lay it out like this, the differences are just huge. Aquinas' scientia covered all of reality, from rocks to philosophy. Modern science has zoomed its focus way in to just the physical, measurable world. The goal is totally shifted too. It went from a search for wisdom to a quest for prediction and control. And maybe most importantly, we've switched which why we care about. We've become experts on the efficient cause, the mechanism, while pretty much ignoring the final cause, the purpose.
But it's not like they're complete strangers. Deep down, they share some really important DNA. I mean, both are a rational search for causes. Both are built on first principles and use logic and reason. And both are powered by that very human drive to figure things out, to move from the known to the unknown. The engine is kind of the same, you know? It's just pointed in a very different direction.
So what's the big takeaway here? I think it's about perspective. Aquinas shows us this incredible integrated vision of knowledge. It's a world where science, philosophy, and theology aren't enemies in a ring fighting it out. No, they're partners in a single, massive project to understand the whole shebang, the total why of reality and where we fit in it.
And this leaves us with a pretty challenging question to chew on. Look, our modern scientific method has given us unbelievable power. There's just no denying its success. But in becoming so incredibly good at answering how things work, have we lost our ability to meaningfully ask why they exist in the first place? It's a question worth thinking about.